What is up, gamers? This is Corey with Xbox Tavern with another review. This time I'm taking a look at the Plucky Squire. This game is an adventure game where you are Jot, which is a champion of the land of Mojo. Everybody loves and knows Jot, but of course there is evil afoot, and you as Jot need to overcome it. Of course, you're not going to do that alone. You're going to have friends along the way. You're going to meet lots of people, fight lots of evil, and solve lots of puzzles. So this game is quickly becoming one of my favorite games that have released in 2024. I did go back and look, and this is definitely in the top few that I will compete for in my game of the year thus far. That being said, this game, in my opinion, does very cool things in the later parts of the game, and it only builds upon itself. So for this review video purpose, I am only going to be showing gameplay from the first few chapters of the game. Because if you like what you see, there is definitely more they have to offer, so I don't want to spoil any of that for you. So let's get talking about the game. Of course, you're going to be fighting evil. You have a sword. You start out with it, and you are whacking enemies until they're gone. Just exploring and killing enemies. You're going to pick up ideas or inspirations in the form of light bulbs. That is your currency. That currency will be used to spend in a shop where you can buy artwork for the gallery, which is just extra content to look at, or you can buy upgrades and abilities for yourself. Those things are going to include increasing your sword attack, adding something like a jump attack and a spin attack, so on and so forth. And you're just going to use that to fight off the enemies in kind of the main navigation part of the game. Now, another big part of this game, like I mentioned, is solving puzzles. This game does a really cool thing where it breaks the fourth wall of its own game. And I love when media does this. So if you haven't noticed already, you are playing in a very 2D landscape at first and in a lot of the game. And this is happening in a book. As you go across the current screen, you will be flipping the page onto the next one. And very early on, it's pretty much the crux of the story, so it's not really a spoiler. You can go 3D in this game by leaving the book. And leaving the book is going to grant you access to the book itself, where you can do things like flip the page and go back to a previous page in order to solve a puzzle on a later page. Now, there are your typical puzzles where you need to move things in certain ways to kind of get them across the screen, or really think about how you need to manipulate what is in front of you in order to get by. There are also word puzzles, which make complete sense now that we're talking about the game in the form of a book. You'll find words as a very simplistic example where maybe you needed to bust through a crate, and it was a metal crate. And in the book, it shows you that text. Well, somewhere on the page might be a word that says broken, and you can pick up that word and replace the word metal with the word broken, and now it becomes a broken cage where you can easily get through and carry on. Those are the types of puzzles you can expect to find in this game. Now, I did mention a lot of characters. There are a lot of characters that have text dialogue, and there are some characters that have voiced over dialogue, and the voiceover is done really well, along with the music, I must say. So what you're going to be hearing in the game is really top notch. But for some of these individuals that you will meet, they will actually join your team, and they become, part of your story. And so it really adds a depth to the game where you aren't just playing as the singular main character. You do have the responsibility of this team as well. That kind of comes into play a little bit later, so I'm going to keep it vague for that. Now, I played the game all the way through. It took me in the realm of like a 420 minutes, roughly. I did not go and grab all the collectibles in that amount of time. I'm actually going back now to do so. But the game itself was not very hard or difficult. However, I always like to mention this because I think it's a really good thing in video games. There is a ton of accessibility in this that I did not explore. But again, if you want an easier time, you want a chill time, you can turn on things like one-hit kill, invincibility. You can do jump assist and things like that. There's also adventure versus story mode, where if you want, kind of the normal experience or just weaker enemies in general. So this game is going to be available to play for all skill levels, but ultimately it's not very difficult at all. In fact, some might say the most difficult part is some of the puzzles, but even then, they do a really good job of trying to help you. One of the main characters you will meet very early on is Moonbeard the Wizard. He's kind of like your voice in your ear who's going to guide you along your quest and get you going. Well, there's a mini version of Moonbeard called Mini Beard, and that little wizard will be around in various screens, and he's always offering helpful hints on how to solve that current screen's puzzles. So if you are just unsure of what to do, maybe you forgot you can turn pages in this and go back several screens, Mini Beard might remind you that you could do that. And that will just kind of give you a jump start on how to solve the current puzzle. But like I said at the beginning of this review, this game has just put a smile on my face from start to finish with how clever it is, how fun it is. It really just kind of puts you in the mindset of a kid reading a book and trying to make that book come to life, and really breaking the fourth wall like it does. That just puts it over the top for me. There are very little negative things I have to say about the game. Mostly they come in the form of some bugs and glitches. One of the very tiny mini games that came up, I was supposed to be shooting enemies, and I couldn't shoot the enemies for whatever reason. No buttons worked. I did not restart. There happens to be an option where you can skip the mini games, and so I just did that, and I never ran into that problem again, but it did happen. There was also times when, as you can imagine, there are your fellow characters that are following you kind of as a team, and when you're navigating back some pages, they will try to follow and catch up. But if I'm moving too quickly, I might progress the screen and they're not there. Typically not an issue, but when there is a small little cutscene like action where they are clearly having a speech bubble pop up talking and there's nobody there, that's when it's noticeable. So small little inconsistencies like that are really the only negative things I have to say. This has been, I wouldn't even say it was a surprise because I was really hyped up for this game, but it has delivered in the fun aspect. It's a perfect amount of time. It doesn't take a ton of time to get through. The replayability may not be there if you replay it right away, but I will definitely be going back to go through and get all of the collectibles in this game. So I'm already looking forward to that. But yeah, this is just one of those games that have come along and it's just been a real pleasure to play from start to finish. So if you aren't already on xboxtavern.com, I implore you to go there and check out my review for this game where I will have a score for it. We also have a lot of other reviews. I would implore you to check those out as well. But for the Plucky Squire, I've been Corey. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.